All right, everybody, good day. Today, our guest is Octavius Green, more affectionately known as Big Oct to his friends. I've known this man for about close to 20 years now. He's the union president at Temple University. So I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and give us a little bit of background before we get into the interview.
My name is Octavius Green Jr. I'm the current president of BUE Local 612 SCIU Temple University. I've been the president for probably more than 13, 14 years now. I want to say I've ran unopposed for probably the last 8 years, or maybe more than 8. But as far as my experience when coming into the union, I don't know if you want to save that for a question, but 46-year-old married, 2 kids, and I work at Temple University in trucking.
So what drove you to become the union president?
Actually, what drove me to become a union president was the lack of leadership that I had currently seen that was in charge before I even became an official. At that time, I was just a shop steward. So the guys that were running the union, I really took issue with them and the lack of leadership that they showed, so I took it upon myself to run against them the following year with no experience.
Since becoming union president, has there been anything that has shocked you as far as the things that go on behind the scenes, and what have you done to, make things better from, what took place before you became union president?
Well, 2 things. Number one is, I would say that one of the most important things is perception. People think that strong leaders are those who bark a lot, talk loud, hit the table, yell, scream, fuss and fight, cuss, this, that, and the third. That's a sign of weakness. Most of the things that you will achieve as a union leader, you will get by telling the truth, being patient, and through the relationships that you build with upper management, your people, as well as other colleagues that you work with.
Now, I was part of a union previously at the post office, the Postal Workers Union. And during my time, the union seemed like they got in bed with the management. How do you prevent that as being the union leader?
When you say get in bed, does that mean that they have a working relationship with the people as you perceive it? Because it's a difference. Or are they taking deals and compromising themselves and their people?
Exactly.
Okay.
They started taking deals and compromising,
Right.
and not really fighting for the rank and file members.
So the first part, depending on what it is and who you're talking to, you can have relationships with upper management that kind of can bridge the gap between you and the rest of the management that you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It behooves you to have some type of relationships like that. If you don't, it's just going to make your job more difficult. But when you compromise yourself by taking deals and you compromise your people, what happens is it always has you in a position of weakness. Your people can't get nothing and you can't get nothing. Even though you might get a dollar amount, even though you might get extra days, whatever the case may be, whatever they grease in your palm with, it never pays out in the end.
Okay, to digress a little bit away from the union, because I know you're a busy man, you got other things to take care of. I know a little bit of your background and I would say philanthropy, dealing with the youth and so forth and so on. As we look at what's going on today, especially here in Philadelphia, with a lot of killing and things that's going on here, what do you think we as men can do to help give back to the community and mentor some of these young guys?
Well, the first thing we have to do, bro, is identify who the men are.
Right.
That's the biggest problem. What is glorified in our community since we're young is we raise our daughters to be responsible and our sons to be irresponsible, meaning that we glorify the violence and things like that, and we don't really teach these youth anything. And because so if they're not educated, they're not going to be able to make any money, and this life of crime is going to be what they continue to revert back to. So with that being said, as a community of men, what we have to do is rally together, talk to the youth, not talk at them, talk to them, ask them what are some of their concerns and fears, because this is where a lot of stuff comes out of, that anxiety of not knowing what's on the other side. Number two, we have to be patient with them, and also patient with each other, because everybody's not going to be on the same page wanting to do and back the same things. And if we can't just come together on an issue of trying to fix the youth in our community without it being a religious back and forth between all the other groups that are involved, then you're really going to have chaos and we're not going to get anything done. I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have. Not that religion is a bad thing, but once it enters into this type of environment, you can't get any cohesiveness. Nobody wants to work together because everybody wants to be in charge.
Now I have a plan to sit with Mr. Marcus Allen, who is the current president CEO of the local chapter of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Okay.
So to segue into that, yourself, men like yourself, myself, Marcus Allen, I believe, and I hope Marcus sees this interview,
right,
that we should be able to sit down and come up with a plan. You know, there's only so much we'll be able to do, but come up with a plan. Come up with a plan to partner and get with some of these youth and get them off the streets and things like that.
It's a lot we can do, and what it starts with is the conversation like the one we're having now. So once people are committed and you find those individuals, the work is easy. That's once you're sincere about something, the work is easy. So don't get discouraged and just do what you've been doing, and we're gonna work it out. Whatever you need from me, you're gonna have my support.
So I appreciate that. Any advice that you want to give to the youth or some of the old heads like you and I out there that we can do to get together to help bridge this gap and do some work in the community?
I would say, number one, educate yourself on that which you're going to tackle. So if you wanted to say tackle voting rights or voter registry, whatever the case may be, get educated in that stuff first before going out in the street talking to people. This is one of the biggest problems. We get this, we get that wind in our back and our chest gets full and tight, and we stick it out and we jump out there, but we don't know what we're doing. We don't need to do that. But if you want to get involved, go somewhere, volunteer. Help these children. Like I said, talk to them, not at them, and ask them. Have a conversation with them on how they see life and how they perceive where it's going.
All right, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we can sit down again in the near future and, add on to our conversation today. Peace out, Philly Old Head.